What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C4U, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of Eagles Fifth Down. I'm not exactly sure what episode we're on, 12, 13. It's been a long ride, but these videos have gone over a lot better than what I have thought. You know, with the growing influx of new people on my channel, I know you're not all going to be Eagles fans, but you all seem to be tuning in. Like I said, I'm trying to find that good balance to make it so that if you're not an Eagles fan, you still want to stop by Beast Mode TV daily and listen up to your boy C4. But I always want to talk about my Eagles. So what we're going to do today is quickly evaluate how the 2016 draft is looking for, as of now, where they stand right now, where they stand in terms of value of where they were drafted in comparison to some of the other players around the league in the similar positions, and let's make some bold claims that we may look like a fucking asshole in the future of this season or the seasons coming up. I'll make a bold, hot take about a certain player, and then if they turn out to suck, I can always look back at this, or you guys can look back at this and say, hey, C4, remember when you said they're going to be amazing? Look what happened now. So the reason why this is somewhat important to me is that the Eagles, especially during the Chip Kelly era, were never a strong drafting team. I mean, outside of Lane Johnson, we haven't really had a good draft since 2012. So the importance of this year's draft is it's looking out to be maybe our best draft since 2012. We may have couple franchise players, plugged a couple holes that I thought were big needs, and guys surprised me, and maybe those needs aren't as big anymore. Sexual innuendo joke is probably in there somewhere. So let's take a look. I got 12 players right now we'll go from highest, which being Carson Wentz, all the way down to our undrafted free agents, and see what we got in terms of value. So number one, Carson Wentz. In my opinion, he's the number one quarterback from this year's draft class. All those Dallas Cowboy fans are going to go, hey, what about Dak Prescott? If you put Carson Wentz on the Dallas Cowboys right now, his stats would be, put it this way, you wouldn't be able to really talk about Ezekiel Elliott because you go, wow, look at this quarterback, look at this great quarterback. Tony Romo wouldn't be able to make a press conference saying he's handing the keys over to Carson Wentz. Tony Romo's ass would have been shipped out of Dallas a long time ago if they had Carson Wentz and he started the way he started. So for my money, A+ for Carson Wentz. If it's pretty tough to give a team that funds their franchise quarterback, and it's still maybe a little bit too early to claim Wentz as our franchise quarterback. But let's be honest, everyone around the league, non-biased Eagle fans or the most biased Eagle fans, say Carson Wentz is truly something special. He does not have, some of those one-hit wonder RG3-like traits. He has everything you need in a franchise quarterback. Pretty much anytime a team drafts a franchise quarterback, you have to give them an A+, because you can't win in this league without a franchise quarterback. And with Carson Wentz there, number one quarterback in this year's draft class, in my honest opinion, we've already hit this draft out of the fucking park, Sammy Sosa getting them bats. I'm in love with the Sosa, hitting that shit out. So number two, our second pick was Isaac Malo in the third round. Currently, I can't really give him a grade because he's been used pretty sparingly, but he definitely comes off as a guy that's going to have a low floor and will be a valuable member of this team, even if he doesn't fully reach all of his potential, because he's so versatile. He can play even a little bit of tackle, but he can play anywhere on the interior of that offensive line, and really the first time I've seen him play was recently against the Atlanta Falcons. They brought him in as an extra tight end, and he must have had 3-4 motherfucking pancake blocks. I was like, Jesus Christ, that guy looks good out there. And the thing with Malo, from the sounds of things, they are ranting and raving that this guy is really great. We have potentially two free agents at the guard spot in Wisniewski and Alan Barberry this coming offseason, I believe. I know Wisniewski is. I think Barberry is as well. And with the money being a little bit tight, we got to bring back Benny Logan. We may want to look at splurging at a wide receiver. Malo definitely has the play type from what I've seen in very limited snaps, and what the feeling from the coaching staff is that we can save a couple million, and by a couple million, upwards of, Jesus Christ, $5-6 million, maybe even plus, if we had to re-sign both Barberry and Malo, or Barberry, and Wisniewski, to just say, fuck it, we'll roll Malo at guard next year. So the fact that we have that, especially when money's going to be tight, and we have some guys that are looking to get paid a little bit to end their career, Malo's look great, but it's tough for me to really give him a grade. I'll give him a C+ for as of right now. Number three, Wendell Smallwood. Now this is one of the ones that I'm eating crow. To use a nice reference from the 1950s. I was disappointed with this pick. I saw guys like Devontae Booker, Jordan Howard going around the same spot, and those are guys I wanted. I didn't watch West Virginia play. I didn't really know too much about Wendell Smallwood. I saw Jordan Howard's tape in Indiana. I had him mocked to Philadelphia in multiple mock drafts. Devontae Booker, I didn't even bother mocking him because I thought he was going to be a second-round pick. I thought Booker was the sleeper running back of this year's draft class, which I said clearly. Go check that out. Like I said, I love being right. I fucking love being right. And when I'm wrong, At least if it's with the Eagles, it's usually a positive thing. I'd say Wendell Smallwood right now is debatably number 3 to number 4 running back from this year's draft class. I'd say Ezekiel Elliott, obviously, Jordan Howard and Devontae Booker are statistically ahead of him. I think Zeke and Jordan Howard are definitely the two. I think Booker just has more snaps. I think in terms of play style, Booker and Smallwood, from what I've seen, their transition to the pro game as a rookie looks very similar. But I mean, Wendell Smallwood's stats are right in comparison with Derrick Henry, and now CJ Prosise is getting a couple snaps, but I think when Rawls comes back, it'll fall off a little bit. I would say when all is said and done, when you group up all the stats of all the running backs this year, Smallwood will have top 3 stats. I think maybe top 4. I think Zeke, Howard, and Booker are going to get a lot of snaps, but then Howard might get banged up. It's too early to call. But the fact that Smallwood has almost identical stats, and he has a little bit more in terms of special team production, as Derrick Henry, who was the second-round pick running back. I think Derrick Henry looks great, too. He's just it's tough for him to get snaps because of DeMarco Murray. But then again, it's tough for Smallwood to get snaps. We're not using him. Some games he has 1 carry. Other games he'll have 14 carries, but he's making the most out of his opportunities. So I think Smallwood, even if you're like, oh my God, biased Eagle fan, Smallwood at least looks like a top 5 running back, and the fact that he was really the last running back out of all the guys that I mentioned, that is tremendous value for the Eagles. And coming into this upcoming draft where it's loaded with running backs, the first 3 rounds are going to be loaded. You got Fournette, you got Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Royce Freeman, Samaje Perine, Wayne Gallman. Like, there's probably upwards of 8 running backs that I could see being 3-down backs in the NFL. I thought that was a big need for the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought we had to get a running back. We're probably not going to have Ryan Matthews back here. Darren Sproles, there's somewhat uncertainty there. Now that need becomes, you can move that a little bit back to the back burners because Smallwood looks like he could be a 3-down running back in our system. You think he needs to get a little bit bigger, a little bit better in pass protection, but for the most part, man, the optimism is there and is justified. That's tremendous value there. I'm giving Smallwood B. B closer to B minus, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then with our 4th pick, we got Hal Vaitai, big V. So we ripped him to shreds after that Washington Redskins game, but if we eliminate that, the best thing about an offensive lineman, well, the second best thing, obviously you want to hear, oh my God, phenomenal block from Peters or phenomenal block from Johnson. You don't want to hear their name called the entire game because that means they're not getting penalties, they are not getting burnt, and that's what's happened with Big V. The Falcons, he played a great game against the Falcons. The Cowboys had a good game against the Cowboys again. Looking at the tackles, considering he was taken in the 5th round, I'd say much like Smallwood, he's the number 3 or number 4 tackle. I think Ronnie Stanley, and I'm actually have no idea what's going on with Ronnie Stanley, but I assume he's been a starter in Baltimore. Then you got Jack Conklin, who's definitely been the best offensive tackle in this year's draft class. And then Tunsil, which is classified as a tackle, but he's played guard. So if you take him off, I think Vaitai's looked as good as debatably Ronnie Stanley, because I haven't really heard anything. But you had Taylor Decker on the Detroit Lions. He was a very high draft pick. I would say in terms of their how much they've had success already early in their careers, I think Vaitai is as good as Stanley and Decker. So that's debatably the number 3/2 tackle in the NFL from this year's draft class. And we took him in the 5th motherfucking round. And he's a project player. So the best thing about this is Jason Peters doesn't seem like he's going anywhere next year, and he's had a resurgence. I don't want him to go anywhere next year. It would have been nice to have that extra cap money. Maybe they, tweak his budget and tweak how much we pay him next year around. I'm not too optimistic about that. But the big thing was moving Lane to left tackle, which I'm not 100% sold on. And then who the fuck? We're going to have to draft a right tackle right now. Vaitai is looking like he can be that right tackle. I'm not going to come out and claim he's a franchise right tackle, but he looks like he can be a solid starter and not a complete liability anymore. But the best case scenario, it seems like Jason Peters, he said in the media he wants to try to get a ring with Philly. If he's around for another year, and then we have Lane Johnson, this project player that already got a lot of valuable NFL playing time can have another fucking full year to develop. Vaitai, big thing for him, he needs to get stronger. Fine, have him next year. Next year he'll get stronger, and he'll be ready so that when Peters finally retires, we'll have a fucking great tackle just entering into his prime, which is a great career curve to have, especially coming off your bench. Number 5, Blake Countess. He's cut. He's on the Rams now. So that's a mulligan. Number 6, we got Jalen Mills in the 7th round, and again, he's number 3, number 4 corner. I think you can only convincingly say that Jalen Ramsey and Vernon Hargreaves have been better. You got Bradbury, who's graded up pretty well in Pro Football Focus, the corner for the Carolina Panthers. Eli Apple, which I'm not too sure, but it sounds like Eli Apple's had his troubles. Jalen Mills, don't get me wrong, has had some struggles, but I think for a 7th rounder, when all these other guys were taken in the first, predominantly first 3 rounds, much of these guys I'm talking about were first round picks. The fact that we're getting getting this production out of Jalen Mills, a 7th rounder. Jalen Mills is still, I would say, edging out as a good player. He'll have one bad play for every 2 to 3 good plays, it still sucks that he occasionally gets burnt. But I think he's looked better than the Otis McKelvin, who was our somewhat big free agency signing to put in our secondary. He's looked Nolan Carroll's been our best corner, I would say. But Mills looks like a future starter here in Philadelphia. And the fact that we got that in the 7th round, A+ for Jalen Mills. Then our 7th pick was Joe Walker, who dominated in the preseason. A lot of us got confident that, like, oh my God, he'd probably just be a practice squad guy. He was looking like he could be a future linebacker for us. And I'm not going to come out and say he's a starter, but for the fact that we got in the 7th round a guy that looks like he can get meaningful snaps at the linebacker spot, will probably take Najee Goods' spot. That's phenomenal value, especially in the 7th round. So I'm going to give Joe Walker, I'll give him a C+, just because obviously he got hurt and we haven't seen him in real action. But the optimism is very high from the preseason. This guy here will not only make the roster next year, but contribute some meaningful minutes. The number 8 pick was Alex Mcallister. I think he's a very solid project player. As a Florida Gator fan, obviously he needs to get a lot bigger, which is what he can do. I hope next offseason, maybe he was hanging out with Lane Johnson, he can actually cycle off on time so he doesn't pop. But, I mean, if you give Alex Mcallister with that frame and that explosiveness, you add fucking 20-30 pounds to him, great project player. We'll leave that as not a grade because, like I said, you need him to kind of carry on and pull through with everything, especially a weight training program. The 9th pick, we got CJ Smith, who was preseason co-MVP, undrafted free agent. He's now on the main roster, I believe, or at least on the practice squad. I liked everything I saw with CJ Smith. I think he can develop into a solid depth corner for us. Number 10, we got Destiny Vio, who's now getting snaps. I called that one. I said undrafted free agent. When I was doing my last mock draft, I said get Destiny Vio. Now he has 2 sacks. He's on the D-line rotation. He looked very solid player. That one there is getting an A+. Anytime you get an undrafted free agent that already has 2 sacks and is getting meaningful snaps, really in the absence of Benny Logan, that's tremendous value. Then 11, we got Paul Turner. We all know how he's pretty much the golden boy of the Eagles fan base, especially online here. He was our preseason MVP this year, undrafted free agent, another great value. And then in 12, we had Byron Marshall, who looks good on special teams. I don't know if we'll ever cut it and make our final roster, but at least we'll have a nice little kick returner to use in the preseason for the next coming season. So I think overall, this draft may go down as the best draft of the Howie Roseman era, with Wentz, Malo, Smallwood, Vitae, Mills, Walker, and then you got debatably Destiny Vio. As much as I want to put CJ Smith and Paul Turner, it may never work out for them, but the optimism is high with those guys. But we have 7 guys that I could see being long tenured, at least till the end of the rookie contracts, Philadelphia Eagles, that contribute some meaningful snaps on this team, if not being our franchise player in some other cases like Wentz and potentially Vitae and Mills. But I think we had a phenomenal draft, and hopefully this is the beginning of what will be multiple seasons of great drafting. So let me know what you guys think about the Eagles draft in the comment section below. Smash that like button if you're as optimistic about this draft class as I am. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out.